Today I'm talking about the Asics Evoride after 100 miles. 11.54 miles, 8 minutes, 22 seconds per mile, 138 beats per minute today on, I guess, what was a run commute. I wasn't running to work today. I was running just out and back home where I'm homeschooling the kids because the schools are closed, everything's closed, work is closed, at least for the foreseeable future. But at least I was able to get a run in today. Felt great out there. And with today's miles, I was able to get the Asics Evoride to the 100 mile mark. Now, before I get to my thoughts on this shoe after 100 miles, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that was sent to me for the purpose of review by Roadrunner Sports. However, they're not paying me to make this video or to wear the shoe, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of this footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Asics Evoride after 100 miles. Now, this is part of the Ride family of shoes with the Metaride, the Glideride, and then the Evoride being the lightest of the bunch. It has a curved sole and a design that is supposed to limit ankle movement. And what ultimately this led me to have was what I would call more of a Japanese style of running, or a Japanese shuffle. Like the kind of run, like if you've ever had to run to catch a bus or to catch get into an elevator real quick while you're in your work clothes, and you're not trying to run, but you're trying to run demurely, that's the kind of feeling that I get whenever I kind of run in this shoe, at least in slower paces. And I think the whole point of Asics doing that with this shoe is so that way it's just less strain on your body and you can run more with less energy expenditure, or with it taking less of a toll on your body. At least I think that's all what they are intending with this shoe. To help along with that, you've got FlyteFoam Propel in the midsole, which I've really been liking. At first, it seemed very, very stiff, but after a couple of runs, it seemed to soften up quite a bit. And so I found myself really enjoying running in this shoe, even at slower paces, which I didn't initially love in the shoe. Then turning to the outsole, we have the Asics High Abrasion Rubber. Now, this is something that I've always given Asics a hard time for. They tout their rubber as being high abrasion and lasting longer, and yet at the same time, they end up putting a lot more of it on all of their shoes. When I saw the Evoride for the first time, I saw that finally they've put a normal amount of rubber on an outsole, even leaving some of the foam here exposed. And it's kind of been doing a really great job. In the area where I tend to see the most abrasion, I'm seeing very little here. It's holding up a lot better than I would expect for a 100-mile shoe. But in this area up closer to the toes, I'm actually seeing a lot more wear than I would expect. So I'm not sure that Asics rubber is high abrasion rubber, or one square inch of it lasts longer than any other rubber necessarily. In this area in the toes where I've been running some of the tempo miles, it does seem to be wearing down a little bit faster than I was expected. So I'm a little bit surprised at the amount of wear that I'm seeing just in this spot here, although the rest of the rubber is still holding up really well. In the upper, we have a regular kind of mesh up here that's a traditional running shoe mesh, which has been really comfortable. This toe box seems actually really roomy in here. It's probably one of the roomiest shoes that I've run in that you can still run quickly in which has been a real surprise. But I don't know if it's because of that or if it's just because of the way some of these toe caps are designed. I'm always getting like this weird puckering. It always just seems like the shoe is not fitting quite right. I don't know if it's a functional problem, but aesthetically, it always really strikes me as being very odd in terms of what's going on here. I wish they could somehow fix that. The other thing that I think is weird is the tongue. And whenever I'm filming it, I can always kind of like tuck the tongue down here and make it look like a normal size. But whenever I'm running with it, I just feel like it finds its way to wiggle out, and it just looks like it's really just a very odd tongue that's up here. It's a little bit padded, and I don't know if that's contributing to it or maybe even ameliorating it, but in either event, the tongue has always struck me as very strange in here. Again, not a huge functional problem, but aesthetically, it's just really odd. In the back here, there's a little bit of padding. It looks like more padding than there actually is back here, but there is a little bit of foam right in the part where the shoe would touch your Achilles, and that's been generally really comfortable for me. And so what I end up having with this shoe is a pretty comfortable shoe that I can run fast miles in. Today, I just went for low heart rate paces, but taking it relatively easy, and it's a pretty good shoe. But the real surprise with this shoe is once you get it into your tempo runs. So if you have like fartlek work or long runs with longer intervals, this shoe has just been absolutely fantastic. Right at this spot where I'm seeing all the wear, when you're up on your toes like this, the shoe just seems to really spring back nicely. And so even though there's no plate in here, it's not like there's a huge rocker in here or anything like that. But when I'm hitting, landing kind of midfoot and then rolling off onto the forefoot and pushing off from that spot, it's just a really sweet movement. I just really enjoy it. The amount of cushion that this FlyteFoam Propel gives me is just right for those kinds of efforts. And so I think this shoe is really uniquely suited for that. And with the whole like curved sole and the FlyteFoam throughout the midsole and the way it makes you kind of use the whole shoe when you're going at slower paces, but then you can really focus on this part of the shoe for faster paces. I think this is a really great fartlek shoe, tempo run shoe, where you're going to be running a couple of different paces, some recovery paces, and then some faster efforts. Not all out sprints, but stuff that's really good for your long distance training. I think this shoe's been a really nice surprise. I'm not even mad about the fact that it's a blue shoe. Blue shoes tend to really aggravate me for some weird reason. I'm actually kind of liking it. So a surprise on a lot of levels for me running in this shoe. I've been really enjoying it after 100 miles. I think it is wearing down a little bit faster than I would expect, especially considering that this is an Asics shoe. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to run faster miles in this shoe. And I really wasn't expecting that. So really nice, refreshing update from Asics. I've been talking to a lot of people about Asics, even some Asics reps about it. I think that Asics is finally modernizing their shoes without making their shoes necessarily look like they're from the future. There's a very big difference between those two things, and I think this strikes a really nice balance of being modern and also being very capable and not getting like too far on the crazy side. Not that I don't like crazy shoes, but like sometimes Asics definitions of futuristic, I just don't get. So very happy with this shoe. All around, it's a shoe that I can highly recommend. If you have any other questions about the Asics Evoride now after 100 miles, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to talk to you guys about it a little bit more down there. Now, before I go, I do want to talk about the charity runner for this week. This week, it's Dominic Emery, who's going to be running the London Marathon, which is now shifted to October, and he's going to be raising money for the Essex disabled children. I was happy to donate 70 pounds of my money to his fundraising efforts, and so many of you guys have joined and done the same as well. And this time even donating in pounds, because his website only allows donations in pounds, but you guys have been donating anyway, and that's been so fantastic. And Dominic himself has commented in, he's written to me individually, and he's also commented as well, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Dominic writes, "Thank you for featuring me as your charity runner of the week. It's a huge privilege, and I'm immensely grateful. The exposure and donations from your followers have been generous beyond words. I will do you all proud in October when I finally get to compete in the rescheduled London Marathon. Thank you." Thank you, Dominic, for raising money for an important charity in your local community, and I know you will do us all proud. Good luck with your training, and be safe out there. And that's something that I could wish for all of you guys. I know some of you that are watching aren't able to run right now. Some of you guys are kind of getting near to that point. I'm worried that Chicago's going to get near to that point at some point too. So as long as you guys can safely get out there and run, I hope you guys do and enjoy your runs. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?